Bet horse racing on DRF Bets. We'll match your first deposit up to $250. Get free expert picks and past performances, plus weekly cash back, all from Daily Racing Form, the most trusted name in horse racing. Let's take a look at our top selections for Dan Illman, Mike Beer kicking off the late pick 4 at Belmont Park on Thursday with graded stakes action. Let's throw up the field for the Intercontinental Stakes. We're going 7/8 of a mile on the Widener turf, a field of 9. And Cott is entered main track only. The 3 subsidiary is entered main track only. And I believe the 2 Sweet By and By and the 8 Regal Glory, Mike, are cross-entered in Saturday's grade 1 just a game. So we might have some changes here. And I think these trainers are looking at the weather because we could have some wet conditions at Belmont on Thursday.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see how the weather plays into it, and then we'll just see which race they decide to run in. Boy, if the 2 and the 8 run here, Dan, there's both of them are supposed to be really tough here. They are the 2 morning line favorites. It feels like 7 furlongs is a good distance for them. If they run here, the rest of this field has their hands full.
Absolutely agree with that assessment. Let's throw up the Timeform US Pace Projector. The 7, I'll Handle the Cash. That horse has good speed. Sweet By and By is just a throwback. She pretty much can go to the front. She can sit from just off the pace. I'm curious to see what happens with Change of Control, a horse who's stretching out slightly from 5.5 to 7. But I kind of agree with this blue bar scenario, Mike. It's odd in a turf sprint that there's not a ton of speed.
Yeah, there really isn't a ton of speed in here, so you don't think that they'll necessarily have to go fast. And then you're right, because Sweet By and By, who I felt like the first time I went through it, Dan, I felt like maybe she was the speed and would go to the front in here, but she's just a very handy and tractable horse. So if they decide to rate her, that could sort of open things up for some other horses.
Now, a horse that could be up against it from the pace standpoint is the number 1 Publication. You see her last in this blue bar Timeform US scenario, which favors horses on or near the early lead. Publication scored last time out, first time back off a 211-day layoff. Let's watch that race at Belmont. It was a non-winners of one other than for Chad Brown. This filly just has the most beautiful Juddmonte family pedigree that you're ever going to imagine. And here is Publication. Not a big pace. She sits outside. She's too good for these horses despite the layoff. I question the field she beat.
Yeah, I don't know if she beat a great field either, Dan, although the runner-up in this race is actually pretty good. I'm not sure that the runner-up High Opinion, who was also off the layoff here, I don't think she got the greatest ride in the world here, and you see her coming a little too late, but she is a good filly. So Publication, I think all in all, just more than anything else, Dan, I think she just took a really big step forward in her seasonal debut as a 4-year-old. She showed much more tactical speed in this race than she had shown in her 2 starts last year. She was pulling her way forward all the way up the backstretch to be part of that pace. And I thought she finished that race off pretty well. I think she really improved last time.
And I generally like Chad cutting back in distance on the turf. Now it's all about whether Publication can kick home with these horses. I think if it's going to be a tightly bunched field turning into the stretch, she is one of the better kicks in this race. The 2 is Sweet By and By. Sweet By and By, very tactical. Let's watch her win in the Sand Spring Stakes at Gulfstream on March the 27th. Second time out for Safi Joseph. This was not a strong field. She's the heavy favorite, and she does what she has to do. 95 Beyer speed figure, though. That's a career best for Sweet By and By. She just shows up each and every time.
Yeah, really good horse. The shorter distances are no problem for her because she has good tactical speed. You see how easy she won that race, Dan. I mean, she did get a perfect trip in that race. And as you mentioned, it wasn't that strong of a field. But it was just another race where she showed up and ran a good race. And I expect her to do the same thing on Thursday.
Number 3 subsidiary entered main track only. We hope not to see her. We want this race on the turf. The 4 Change of Control, distance the question really for Change of Control. She's real good at 5.5 furlongs. Let's watch her effort in the Giants Causeway. 2 starts back at Keeneland, and perhaps key, this over yielding ground. She had a lot of work to do in this race, Mike, but maybe it helped to be off the rail.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I didn't think this was a day where you wanted to be down inside on this turf course that had taken a lot of rain. But still, this horse comes with a big run from the top of the stretch, and she closes down a nice horse in Into Mystic, who then would come back and turn the tables on her the next time at Churchill. Dan, I'm not knocking her recent form. It's obviously very good. I respect the fact that she handles cutting the ground, and I respect the fact that she can get close to the pace in here. I think those are all positives. The question is distance. She is a turf sprinter, and I know this is only 7 furlongs. It's a totally different ball game than the 5.5 furlong turf sprints this mare's used to.
Madeline Must is the number 5, going out for trainer Christophe Clement. First start of the year for this mare, who might have been compromised a little bit by a lack of pace in the Autumn Days Stakes last time out, Mike. There just wasn't a lot going on in that race over good going. She passed a couple of tired horses in the stretch. I wonder if this is a starting off point for the mare.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what she does. I'll be honest, Dan, when she got here last summer, I had pretty high hopes for her. I liked her form over in England, and I thought that she could maybe do some good things over here. I was a little disappointed with the races that she ran last year. Now, maybe she'll take a step forward now. I do think this is a good distance for her. I just think she really has to improve to beat this field.
Piety Bianchi, the number 6, has yet to crack the top 3 from 3 tries on the turf. But I wonder if maybe she's the kind of mare that could show a little bit of speed coming off dirt races.
I mean, she certainly could, and she is stretching out a little bit for this race. The last 2 times I ran her on turf, Dan, she was right on the lead in stakes races. And that includes that My Charmer last December at Gulfstream. That was a very competitive pace that totally fell apart and went to closer. She did not run poorly at all in that race.
I'll Handle the Cash is the expected pace setter according to Timeform US. And just to consider how slow this pace could be, she has never been on the lead after the first quarter mile in any one of her races. Her most recent start was the license fee stakes. She ran to a solid horse, Caravel, came back to win the very one at Pimlico with an 87 buyer, but I'll Handle the Cash just didn't really run very well that day.
Yeah, she did. And she might have needed that race off the layoff. She wound up way further back off the pace than you would have expected her to be in there, Dan. A little bit of a blind switch coming to the stretch, and then she was just no factor from there. She passed some horses late. Maybe it was just a starting off point. She is better than that. She ran some good races sprinting on the turf last year, but even her very best race, it seems like it makes it pretty hard to like her against this field.
Regal Glory is strictly the horse to beat. She's won 7 of 12. She was second in this race last year behind Newspaper of Record. There are no newspapers of record that she has to face in this spot. And last time out, the Plenty of Grace, her first race off a September layoff. This is a very confident victory for her at odds on. There wasn't a lot of pace. She was forced to chase it wide after pulling early, and she runs down a very game horse in Platinum Painter, one that would come back to run third in the Bogey with a 94 buyer.
Yeah, a lot to like about her seasonal debut, Dan, for all the things that you mentioned. Just off the pace on the outside, really game finish. She shows up every time. If there's cut in the ground, she loves that. I feel like this distance is perfect for her. She's just a really underrated horse, Dan. It feels like if she was in anybody else's barn, you don't know what races she'd be running, and she's probably Chad's 10th string, so she doesn't get to run in all the big races, but the races he puts her in, she shows up.
Let's take a look at our top picks for this race. You're going to go with Regal Glory. She just looks very, very strong and is way the horse to beat. What kind of tactics do you think are going to be employed? Because she can be a little bit headstrong coming out of the gate. And if there's not a lot of pace, she's breaking from the far outside. I think it's imperative for her to get cover.
Yeah, they do have a long run up the backstretch. But I don't know, Dan. I feel like there's a good trip coming from her breaking from the outside. She's not a slow horse. They don't ever go to the front with her, but she's never outrunning her races. I think there's a good trip coming for her, and I think she just might be the best horse.
I'm doing the rain dance for Change of Control, who seems to do her best running over turf with cut in it. 7 furlongs, though. That's a real demanding stretch out. Mike mentioned it. 5.5 to 7 doesn't seem like a lot. It is going 7 over the Widener turf course at Belmont. But I just like the form she's in right now. And I wonder if they're going to be aggressive with her coming out of the gate. 8, 2, 1, and 4 for Mike. The horse to beats the 8 Regal Glory. 4, 2, 8, and 1 for me. It's the Grade 2 Intercontinental Stakes at Belmont on Thursday. We're kicking off Belmont Stakes Week here on DRF TV. Good luck.